after 45 minutes to shout Macker out. So you're not talking days, you're talking 15 minutes. So talk to me about that one. And it doesn't help, and it hurts when you have to go through that. And it's been a very difficult time. I just hope that now, with the decision made, I can have a bit of peace and relax a little bit. And first and foremost, I hope the club benefits from it. It's a pointless exercise if the fans don't turn up and support this club. And I still maintain that they should now turn up, and hopefully we get double figures the next home game, and that'll cheer me up anyway, and hopefully the rest of the people that are still here.
Some managers would have left on a high, actually stuck out into problems and improved the club and improved the number of people coming in for games. Why didn't you decide to do that?
Well, I've been here 4 years. I've improved a lot of things with this club. There's only so much you can take. It's the easiest thing in the world to walk away from situations. I know, and I've just said before, that I've done my utmost to help this club, and I believe I have with the finances. And again, I don't want to go too deep into the financial side of it, but when it's limited, I've done the best I can with the resources that we've had available. There's not much you can say. You know, you look at your Grimsby's and you spent 1.5 million in the summer Grimsby, and that was told to me this morning by a colleague of mine. Bristol City haven't won a game yet and spent 3 million on strikers. We're not in a bad position, you know, in the league. We're not bottom of the table.
The players' reaction, Steve?
Pardon?
The players' reaction?
Well, the players are very disappointed, but I think they could see it coming, I suppose, like everybody else. People have just been waiting for something to happen, and it's happened. So there's not much you can say now. It's happened, and we must get on with it.
Do you think over the last couple of weeks there has been that feeling, even among the players, that
well, it's a shame, you know, because and I know it's a minority, and we're talking about the club doing their best to help everybody, and the incentives that we've given out at the start of the season, kids come free, and out of the 300 people on Saturday, I think there's 200 kids, so we're enticing them to the ground. Kids come free, and there's 200 of them shouting Macker out. Where do we go from here? I don't know. I just don't know.
What have you learned from your first job, Steve?
I've learnt a lot, hell of a lot. I've learnt a number of things, and it's interesting because I spoke to Ricky yesterday, and it's been a good exercise for me. It really has in life, not just in management. Players, and dealing with players and contracts, and looking at the financial side of the club. And it's opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I think I'm a better person and a better manager for it.
Do you have any regrets looking back on 4 years?
Any regrets?
Yeah.
Not really, no. I'll probably regret I didn't sign a 10-year contract instead of an extension 3-year contract. But that's life, and we must go on now.
You asked your family for support your decision. I mean, did you have to speak to them before you made it?
Yes. I didn't make it lightly. I didn't make it on my own. It was a decision that we've been thinking about. So yes, it's an important decision, but I think one that I've had to do for the right reasons.
Are they pleased that you're going?
I hope so. I certainly hope so. He's got to be pleased that I'm going back to see them. Obviously, it's going to be difficult for a while till I get my head around a few things. But I know what I'm capable of, and I know that I was doing a good job. It's just that things have come to a head, and we must look elsewhere now.
What about your future?
Well, again, I believe in my ability, and I know the way this game is, and I know that there's going to be jobs available soon. And you know that. There's one available here now, isn't there? So there's going to be other jobs about, and hopefully I've done enough to put myself in with a shout of a number of jobs.
So you're not looking for a long break then?
A long break? No, no, not at all. A short break maybe, not a long break.
Are you going to remain a shareholder in the club, Steve?
Again, that will be decided in the near future. There's a number of issues that we need to sort out, and that will be decided soon.
Steve, I'm sure you knew when you came into management there would be pressure. It's a word that's used a lot, but could you believe that it would get to the stage whereby it got so bad that your family had to move out of the area and you've actually now had to walk out on the job that you really love?
Yeah, I do love it. I love the day-to-day stuff, and I think you know something. Whatever happens when you as a manager, you know that the one thing's for sure is you're going to get the sack or something's going to happen. You're not going to be there forever. So these things do come to a head, but I still say that, you know, they've got to know the nitty-gritty of this club, and they've got to know the history of it, and the resources and the financial structure. And it hasn't been easy over the last couple of weeks with the redundancies that have been took place. And I feel sad for them as well. But I can understand the business side of it as well. It's life, and without doing this restructuring of the club, then the club was dying on its feet. It really was.
So there was a minority out there that spoiled the last few months for you. What's your message to the fans that were supporting you?
Well, they've been the ones who. And we've had hundreds of letters from people saying, you know, keep going, and we stick by you, don't worry about these people, and blah blah blah. But yeah, again, people don't see that side of it. They just want to print the bad side of it, and that's a nation that we live in. We're a nation of knockers, and we like to put a lot of things in that is hurtful and harmful, and that's life, and you've got to get on with that.
Ricky, can I just ask you quickly, how sad a day for you is this personally? Because you brought Steve to this club, you said you'd stand by him, and ultimately he's gone of his own accord.
Yeah, I think it's very sad today. I actually think it's 3 or 4 years too early. And that's not just me, by the way, that is the whole board. I mean, it's very true that we were, even on Monday, trying to say to Steve, no, we don't accept, but we have to hit some realities. I'm very disappointed because I believe that Steve's a great manager. I think he's going to go on to great things. And I think those boo boys, I believe there was a programme on television last night showing somebody who did it to Alex Ferguson. I hope that Steve proves these people desperately wrong. I have no doubt that he will. But it's very sad. It's not right, but it's football.
Who's picking the team for Friday?
Me? No. Mike Walsh is in temporary control for the foreseeable future until we decide where we're going.
Where are you going?
I think where we're going is that clearly we will be looking for a new manager. We don't have a view of who that is now. I think it'd be fair to say that what we have decided is that we're looking probably for the manager of 2 or 3 years experience, somebody who's learned by their first job, not a player manager. Somebody like Steve McMahon, I guess, will be our next manager. And wouldn't that be an appointment? We're clear that where Steve is at today is the type of manager that we're going to be looking forward in the future.
But that's against the grain of Steve when he took on, and Glenn Holt, Robbie O'Dea, Leslie McCarthy.
I think I indicated the other day when we were talking about the structure of football and where Swindon fits in it, that it's time for us as a club. We have now for 4 to 5 managers had a situation where the manager's been learning their role while they're in their job. And as Steve would tell you, the learning curve is dramatic, but you make some mistakes. You make more mistakes in a new job than you do when you're a bit more experienced. I think we as a club now have decided that we want to start to look for the experience so they can come in at a higher level. And we're buying somebody else's learning curve. And let's not forget, somebody's buying ours. Somebody will get Steve McMahon and the tremendous learning curve he's gone through here. So without getting sucked into who, because I don't know, I literally don't know, I'm still thinking about that, along with the board. That's the type of manager I think that we're looking for.
Are there any other questions? Or...
Well, after the questions, time for one-to-one interviews. Here's what the man who's been in charge of the town for the last 4 years had to say in his last interview with Local Sport.
Steve, I can throw away my questions for the minute. As we've just been walking here, people have been stopping you and wishing you all the best. How do you feel at the moment?
I'm empty. I feel empty. I feel as though I don't know how I feel, to be honest with you. As I say, empty is probably the first thing that comes to mind. I'm very disappointed in the outcome of it, but I believe it's the right thing.
What was the straw that broke the camel's back for you?
It's been difficult. Difficult weekend for me. The children have suffered. My wife got a bit of stick after the game. I'm getting stick within 15 minutes of them shouting Macca's Barmy Army, they shouting Macca out. It just shows you how fickle some supporters can be.
Because of course you had the highs of the Derby wins and then the lows of Portsmouth and Watford.
Well, that's right, but you know, it's been a very emotional time for everybody, physically and mentally. And the players can hold their heads up and get on with it, and they deserve a lot of credit in this situation as well, because it hasn't been easy for them when they hear their supporters. And they want to back them, not slag them. It does nobody any good slagging people, nobody any good. They need to turn up. I hope now that the supporters of this club will turn up in their droves and support this club, which is desperate for supporters, desperate for them to come in and help the club out, because financially, you know, we'll go down the pan if the supporters don't turn up.
Now, you know better than most the position that the club was in when you arrived. How do you feel you're leaving it?
In a better position, a lot better position. It's just a wish that the finances were a bit better. But as a club, definitely, there's hopefully we'll see the benefits in the next 12 months, especially 2 years of the youth coming through, which has been a big thing at this club, and we've had to push that. And I'm sad to leave the people here, but I'm sure the man who comes in will do his best as well.
Now, of course, we all know you're very close with Ricky Hunt. What's he been saying to you to try and make you change your mind?
Just to say, forget about the few hundred people or the minority. Get on, knuckle down. But again, it's easy saying it, you know. And Ricky's had a lot of stick. He's had a lot of pressure on him. People don't deserve it. The directors certainly don't deserve it. When I heard them shouting and sack the board have been magnificent to this club. They've put their own hard-earned cash into it. They haven't took a penny out. They're not paid directors. They're in by a lot of money. They really are, and they stand to lose small fortunes to them. So, you know, let's not hide anything here. You know, the board, I've got a lot to lose.
Not that it affects Swindon Town now. What's the future for Steve McMahon? Have you got your eyes on another club?
No, I've got my eyes on loads of clubs, haven't I? Now I'm at work. So we'll wait and see. This job's going to come up, you know that, and there's a job here at Swindon Town for somebody. There's going to be a job maybe next week of some description. If a job comes about that I think is good for me, I will apply for the job. So if there's any chairman listening, I'm here, I'm willing to do a job for you.
Your first managerial post, of course, you feel you've been blooded quite well?
Yes, I think it's been a great exercise for me in life and management. And yeah, I can walk away from this club knowing I've done my best, and that makes me proud. There's only 2 managers ever in the history of Swindon that have won championships, and I'm one of them, so I'm proud of that fact.
You mentioned the players earlier on. I don't know whether you broke the news to them of your decision. What's their reaction been?
Yes, I told the players first. They deserve that from me. The reaction is one of bitter disappointment. But they're professional and they must get on with it. It's their lives, and they must now do the best for themselves.
We'll be charting some of the high spots of Steve's career shortly and looking back on his 4 years at Swindon. But now to the chairman, Ricky Hunt. He's always, of course, been a close friend of Steve McMahon's and has said on more than one occasion that he believes that Steve is the right man to be at the helm. Once again, we return pitchside. Ashley Heath is with the Swindon Town chairman.
Ricky, first of all, your reaction to today's announcement?
Well, I'm very disappointed. Clearly, I'm a staunch supporter of Steve McMahon and will be going forward wherever he ends up. So I can't be anything but disappointed.
How hard did you fight? How hard did you try and persuade him to stay?
I didn't, you know, and I tell you why. When we were talking, Steve McMahon I wanted here forever. There's no question in my mind of his ability. I've said that. When the issues, the reasons you're thinking of moving on are as personal as they were, I know that I have no say. I have to have great deals of empathy in this position, and it's not something I like to have at this stage. So it wasn't to say I didn't work to convince him that it was all twaddle, but it was to say that I have to understand his position. And it's not Steve's position. Steve's as tough as I am. He's not as tough as me, I tell him, but he's as tough as most people. And it was affecting him, but he'd have toughed it out. It's when it starts to affect the family. You know, 4 weeks ago, whatever it was, he had to move his kids back up to the northwest because they were feeling uncomfortable. And that's not on.
So pressure from the fans undoubtedly took its toll on Steve McMahon and his family. Where do you stand on that? Well,
you know, I mean, first of all, certainly personally, I stand where I've always stood. I'm quite clear where I'm going with the strategy. And when I say I, it's the whole of the board. And you know, I would say to anybody who says board out, you can't say it unless you've got money in your pocket. Because if the board goes out, the club's playing in the Hellenic League. So get a life and understand how it works, first of all, when you're covering debt. It's not as if we're covering profits here, we're covering losses. So to not understand that, frankly, is stupid. So now I'm quite clear where we're going. I have obligations. There are times when the little bit of abuse I've had, I've wanted to say to people, well, you know, stick it. But the reality is that I have obligations to other people who've invested and who've trusted me and invested in me because they believe in where I'm trying to take the club. And the vast majority, you know, and I don't care what anybody says to me, the vast majority of fans actually support and understand. They don't like sometimes what goes on at this club. I don't like sometimes what goes on at this club, but they understand that there are issues outside of kicking the pig's bladder that have an impact. And they've got to get on with that. And you know, as far as those people on the pitch on Saturday, well, let me tell you, they're all banned. I don't want them in this club. The board made a decision on Monday night that we just don't want people like that. They're not fans, you know, because they don't understand what this club is. And let me tell them, this club is Steve McMahon, is the players, is the backroom staff, the marketing staff, the admin staff, the rest of the supporters. It's the board, it's sponsors, it's everybody. So to attack it as if it's some inanimate object is really, really dumb. And what they've done has cost me money, you know. Investors I was talking to have disappeared and said, don't want to come in. I've got an FA inquiry, I've got the pitch being dug up, that's cost me money. I mean, that's pathetic. Having said that, there's a group of fans I know who have said they won't come again until Steve McMahon's gone. Now, I don't agree with that sentiment. Clearly, I've put my flag on the post. But the fact is, they're sensible. You know, they've voted with their feet, and they've said, we'll put our money where our mouth is and not come back. Well, Steve's gone now, and I would still say I regret that. But the fact is now you put your money back where your mouth is and come back and support the club you love. And I know they do, even though sometimes I don't agree with them and they don't agree with me. We all have the same thing at heart. This is a great club. I've been here now, whatever it is, 5 years. And you can't help but get sucked into it, you know. I mean, Hempelman Adams said to me when we went to the magnetic pole, isn't it interesting that you have bought a Swindon flag, but not a Liverpool flag? And I thought, whoops, you know, it's happened. I've converted. I've got to come out and say it now. I am a fan. So we've got to get back and get on and support it. And as much as you don't agree with decisions I've been making, it's about this club. We're all facing the right way. Just come back and get on with it now.
Well, Steve McMahon has gone now. It obviously leaves an empty managerial chair. Who are you looking for? What kind of manager do you want to fill his place? And what happens in the meantime? Yeah, well, first of all, what happens in the meantime is that Mike Walsh will take the reins. Not that Mike knows that yet. Mike's not around. It's his anniversary. He's been away. So he'll find out that I want him to step into the shoes of Steve. And that'll be very difficult for him because of his respect for Steve. And I have no doubt that he will get his head round it and be as professional as he is and get on with it for a while. The fact is that I am out there looking, thinking about it, not looking at all. I'm not going to do anything until next week. I just want to let everything settle down and think about it. But I think it's fair to say that we're looking for an experienced manager now. I think for the last 4 or 5 managers, we've created 4 to 5 good managers have come out of this club, and I think Steve McMahon is going to be amongst the greatest, by the way, personally. I really believe that. And I've seen others come through, but Steve has qualities which are superb. But I've got to buy someone else's learning curve, because it's a fact of life that when somebody's new to a job, they make more mistakes than when they're established. And that's why I think that I need to find a manager who's probably got 2-3 years experience of managing a club. Because they can then come in and start to do what Steve was starting to do here, which is trade with players and bring in players without money and do the business that way. I think when you've been doing it a while, it's easier to do. You understand it more. You understand the market you're trading in, if you like. Steve spent 18 months, 2 years maybe learning his job. The shame is, by the way, that he's on the edge. I think he's right on the edge of being a great manager. And I'm reminded of that nonsense around Man City beating Man United 5-1. And the stuff with Ferguson when if he didn't beat Nottingham Forest, he was going to be kicked out. And they beat Nottingham Forest 1-0. And you think about what that would have done to the history of that club if Alex Ferguson had gone. I actually feel very much that Steve McMahon's in that same mould of learning his job. He's maturing. Having said that, on a personal note, I would have to advise him as a friend that he's going to be more able to implement what he's learnt in a new club
because the fact is some people won't allow you to change because they always taint you with the old brush and they don't see the efforts you're making to maybe put right some of the things that you were doing wrong before.
If I asked you to put yourself forward a few years and look at a history book concerning Swindon Town, would you sum up today as a mistake in the history of the club or not?
Yeah, well, it depends where we are. I guess if we've gone forward and we're at the top of the Premier League, maybe not. But my heart tells me that I probably will be. I'll probably be looking back and saying, you know, look at where that manager is now. And that was Swindon's manager. And you know, yet again, we produced a great manager for someone else, as we have in several others that have left this club, haven't we?
The unfolding story on Wednesday down at the county ground. Now, if you have a view about the resignation of Steve McMahon, we would like to hear it. Call the local line. Local call charges apply. The lines are open all over the weekend. So if you have a strong view or a comment to make, then please do call us on Swindon 486 746. Now, we'll have more in part 2. We'll be taking a short break, but when we return... Welcome back to Local Sport and the weekend preview. Now, we will turn to this weekend shortly, but first, more on the resignation of Steve McMahon. The Friday Town Talk is on the way, but first, to set the scene, we've been through our files for some of the highs and the lows of Steve McMahon's footballing career. Well, he's a man who joined the club with a reputation as the hard man of football. In the 4 years he spent with Swindon Town, he earned himself an army of fans, but conversely, an army of those who didn't like his style of management. As we've already heard, it's those people that it's now hoped will come back to the county ground to support their beloved Swindon Town. For Steve McMahon, it's been a torrid time. Ashley Heath reports in the Friday Town Talk.
The ups and downs of Swindon's relationship with Steve McMahon began in the November of 1994. He was brought in from Manchester City to replace the popular John Gorman, for whom the Green had rubbed the wrong way for just too long. A new era was dawning. The club had wooed a midfield general of the highest order with top-flight experience, an international veteran with 17 England caps, including the infamous Italia '90 campaign. Now Steve was making the move into management. Swindon Town once again preferring an untested man in the hot seat. He came to the county ground realising what lay ahead.
That's right. I think managers can't give guarantees. I don't think, you know. It's all I can say is that I'll be fully committed the way I was as a player and the way I will be as a player. And I think that'll be vital. I'm a proud person, but I'm not too proud to listen to advice. And I know it's...
So history would prove him right. At the time, fans howled sack the board whilst the fledgling manager defended his move.
Swindon Town Football Club's not all about Jan Fjortoft. It's not about him. It's about Swindon Town. It's about the players and the supporters. I said to Jan, I don't need to sell. Don't need to sell you. It's your decision. You know, I'm not forcing you into a corner, but this is the way it is. He spoke to Middlesbrough, and he decided to sign. We're happy with the fee, and I'm happy with the thing, because I think we can now go on and strengthen. I think it's better for the club.
Already, Steve was proving what a single-minded and self-determined manager he intended to be, though no amount of self-belief was able to stop the drop into Division 2. However, the 95-96 season proved to be the town's most successful spell during the McMahon years. Swindon were rarely out of the top two all season and finished in triumphant style against Stockport County on a gloriously sunny day in May. Judge me on my first full season, Steve McMahon had said. The fans were only too happy to oblige.
Keep telling the players, you'd be lucky in a lifetime to win a championship, most players, and there's still a lot of players, even in this day and age, haven't won nothing. Very, very talented players, so the players have got to look forward to it and enjoy it, and then work hard again next season. It is, without doubt, the proudest moment of my life. It really is. And I know it might sound empty promises, but I won't be leaving in 3 days' time.
With the club's return to Division 1, consolidation became the byword, with a grim determination to stop the town's roller coaster years. Steve chose to sell Sean Taylor to Bristol City, another unpopular decision amidst a season including a 7-0 defeat to Bolton and the FA Cup's fastest ever sending off, Ian Culverhouse at Everton. Steve decided he needed to change things off the pitch. Enter Mike Walsh, replacing the long-standing coach and former town player Andy Rowland.
It was very difficult, and he's been a good servant to the club, you know, both as a player and as a coach. It was a hard decision. It wasn't made lightly. I thought a lot about it. I didn't just wake up and think I'm gonna let Andy go. It was a long, hard decision, and I know how difficult it was for me. But life goes on, I'm afraid, and I have to make these decisions.
Having secured First Division action for another year, but by no means spectacularly, Steve began his third season in fine style. Early good form sent the team to the top of the First Division by November. Then Wayne Allison went to Huddersfield. Without the big chief, the team began shipping goals, sinking down the table. By January, Steve had only one word for it.
Awful. There's not many words I can describe the performances at the minute, and the run results is not good enough, as simple as that.
The pressure from the stands for a return to form began, fans making their feelings clear on who was to blame for the town eventually finishing 18th, failing to meet a playoff pledge and being knocked out of the cup by lowly Stevenage. McMahon remained steadfast in his abilities.
I can sleep at night knowing that I work my socks off at this club and with the resources that we have available. If I thought for 1 minute I wasn't doing my job and I was neglecting it, and that I thought somebody else could come in and do a better job, then I would say so, and I would go to the club and be honest and say, well, I don't think I can do the job anymore.
During his time at Swindon, Steve showed how unafraid of controversy he was. Jan Fjortoft and Sean Taylor proved that. A public disagreement with another town favourite confirmed it. Keeper Fraser Digby fell out of contract, claiming circumstances were forcing him out. After a successful testimonial but unsuccessful contract negotiations, the manager was not impressed.
I don't know what more he wants from Swindon Town, I just don't. And for him to come out and say he doesn't want to leave is rubbish. If he doesn't want to leave, tell him his contract's on the table and he can come and sign it.
Pressure continued to grow. Jeers and open abuse were added to the banner campaign, and Steve's family came into the firing line, with his sons getting into fights at school. Close friend and his chairman, Ricky Hunt, revealed the effect all this had on Macca the man.
We takes it very personally. I think when you're a winner like Steve, losing doesn't go down so well. And maybe he takes it too seriously sometimes, is what I would argue with him. It affects not only him, but affects his family, his wife and his 2 sons. There are real people behind all this. I mean, they're not waking up in the morning and thinking, let's go out and screw Swindon. They're working their butt off, and at times it ain't going right.
And that's the way things continued, with this season beginning pretty much the way of the last. Early defeats meant more pressure until 2 derby wins on the trot brought forth a groundswell of support for the beleaguered manager. At the same time, financial constraints had meant sackings at the club, including 4 of Steve's coaching staff, a move made without his knowledge and one which had a deep effect on him.
It's been an emotional time. Football's an emotional game, and when your own staff, who have been very supportive of me over the past 4 years, when they have to leave, through no fault of their own, it's not is that they weren't good at the job or a lack of ability. It's because it needed to be done. That disappointed me. It hurt me. A lot of soul searching, a lot of things to be thought about.
They say that one swallow doesn't make a summer, nor did 2 consecutive wins solve Macca's grief. They were followed by a 5-1 defeat to Portsmouth, and then a 4-1 thrashing at home to Watford, followed by a pitch invasion and more chance of Macca out. It proved just too much. After 4 years of making do, defending strategies and latterly family concerns as well. On Wednesday, September 23rd, 1998, nearly 4 years after joining, Steve McMahon decided enough was enough and handed in his resignation.